Live from Fox 35 News, you're watching Good Day Orlando.
Developing this morning, Universal Orlando has given another update now on the deadly accident of an Epic University roller coaster. Epic Universe, we should say. The residence president, Karen Irwin, sent a letter to employees saying that the Stardust Racers ride functioned as intended, and that team members followed procedures. So she said it worked as it should. This is in reference to a man who died after riding the Stardust Racers last week. According to the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the man had a pre-existing spinal injury and was using a wheelchair. The coaster does remain closed as that investigation continues. Now, of course, the last death from a theme park attraction in Central Florida was in 2022. 14-year-old Tyre Sampson fell from the FreeFall ride at Icon Park. Investigators say he slipped from the seat and plummeted 400 feet. That ride, as we know, was torn down. Joining us now to talk more about this type of theme park accident and what we should look for is Tyre Sampson's lawyer, Michael Haggard. Michael, always good to talk to you. Thanks for your time this morning.
Good morning.
So we know this is a tragedy. It's similar to what we saw with Tyre, where a life has been lost. We're obviously focusing on the condition of the rider here. Was it a health condition? These are the questions. What is your takeaway from the details you've seen to this point?
Well, really, we need more details. I mean, we don't know exactly what his condition was. We know that he was using a wheelchair and he was allowed on this ride. And as you just indicated from Universal, they're saying the ride malfunctioned properly. Well, that doesn't tell us everything. It doesn't tell us whether this rider should have been in the seat, as we learned with Tyre Sampson. So we need to learn a lot more, which includes a thorough independent inspection.
Yeah, and part of that is there are signs that a lot of these, if you're pregnant, if you have heart conditions, in this case, do you think the proper signage was up? And it says if you have another health condition, how important will that be in this investigation and maybe even a potential lawsuit?
Well, it's always important. You know, it's always important to talk about the specifics of the ride. But a lot of times, as you know, those are very general things. The only people that really know who should be on that ride is the ride operator and the manufacturer. And they had the final say. As you remember with Tyre Sampson, you know, there wasn't proper signage, but the ride operators knew who shouldn't and should have been on that ride. And we may have the situation here very similar. We just have to inspect the ride and find out more details.
Yeah, and the details we know is we know his condition. He had a spinal injury. And then we hear the reports of people that were there, and they talked about the trauma they saw. They talked about blood. I mean, will that be something, if you were representing this individual, did he have an episode? And if so, did the ride in any way contribute to that? And where does that bar fall?
Absolutely. I mean, when you hear from the medical examiner's report and from eyewitnesses that there was blunt force trauma, well, how do you receive blunt force trauma if you're restrained properly in a ride? Because that should not happen. But again, we've got to get the details. If you remember from the Tyre Sampson case, we inspected that ride. There were multiple inspections, obviously a statewide inspection, which is an issue here. Universal and Disney are exempt from state inspections ahead of time. They're cooperating now, we believe, and we need to see all that. The community needs to see that. All the guests need to see that. That's what's important about this, is everyone seeing that, not just a lawsuit. And that may be a big thing that comes about, but for everyone to feel safe with these rides and to make sure this never, ever happens again.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out, it's a popular ride there, and it's maybe been ridden by about 1 million riders, so it's hard to understand why this rider had an issue. Let's talk about this, the Tyre Sampson Act. How has it changed ride safety? That was signed back in 2023 as a result of his death.
Yeah, well, again, it deals a lot with permits and inspections for rides that come under its purview. You know, we've got a problem in this country where we don't have federal agencies involved in looking at roller coasters and these types of extreme rides. I mean, the ride we're talking about today, it goes 62 miles an hour. Obviously, Tyre Sampson's ride was a free fall. We don't have federal agencies looking at that. That's a real problem. The Tyre Sampson Act did a lot of great things. As usual, it got a little watered down at the end of that legislative session. I'm hoping that the legislature will look at this accident, look at what can be made stronger. And again, we need federal action because this is an issue across the country, not just in Florida, but obviously with the epicenter, with the attractions and everything we have in Central Florida.
Well, obviously a tragedy. We're watching a lot of different angles in this. And as you said, well, we need more detail. So, Michael, really appreciate your time and insight this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.